Hi, I am here with cello this evening. Cello is a large string instrument. Many of you are opting to learn cello this year, and I find it to be one of the most beautiful instruments in the world. I love the sound of it, and I love just the timbre, the range. It goes from really low notes to some beautiful high notes, and I don't feel I'm capable of giving you a great tutorial on this because I'm not shy to tell my students. I had poor training as far as string instruments go. I think I felt like well versed on my woodwind instruments, brass instruments. I've been working on most of my career since middle school, high school, but cello and violin. Violin I started in 4th grade, and I know this is not supposed to look like this. You're supposed to get a new bow or take the hair off. Violin, why I was unsuccessful. I gave it 3 years, but I just felt the position under here was uncomfortable for me. So then in high school, my band director said, well, you've played the bassoon and you did the French horn, and now we're starting an orchestra. Would you like to try cello? And I was like, yay, sure. And I found that to be hard too. So I never had a string teacher. I always had a band teacher giving me string lessons. So that's what I'm doing for you. And I feel like I've learned a lot more from my students than anything, and their parents are also sometimes string players. And I like to learn from them. So you can tell me what I'm doing wrong. I don't have a good camera angle, but how do you know how high to have the peg? I think that your knees are supposed to come in here when you put it down on the floor. Speaking of the floor, you're going to do the ground stopper, cello stopper, a stopper that will keep your cello from sliding against a surface. If you're playing on carpet, that's no problem. I'm hoping we can get carpeting downstairs at the Bryan School at least. But if it doesn't happen, we'll be using cello stoppers. They're usually circular, rubber, or some of them attached to the bottom of your chair. And I'm sorry I don't have them with me. I just think everything got back to school finally. So we'll talk about how you put the cello in front of you. You always sit at the front of your chair, not leaning backwards. Any instrument. I can't really fathom playing any instrument sitting back. It just is not comfortable for me. I've always just sat up straight when I play. So I keep moving something around that's holding the cello up. Now, bow grip, I've learned this is the beginner grip. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. Beginner grip. And then you turn it in slightly more with your thumb here. Pinky by the frog. Wait, no, this entire thing is called the frog. And then, so you guys tell me how that looks. Is that spaced out? I know you have to have space between all your fingers. And then we talk about how we put it on the string. But actually, many times we will do pizzicato exercises first, learning how to just identify your A, D, G, C. I'm not sure that's in tune. So we also use something called a tuner, which I can demonstrate at the end. I have limited time right now to play for you. And we talk about finger placement. Eventually, we will be putting our left hand on the strings, but we first have to learn how to space those fingers out. So sometimes I will allow students to put tape across. I have a gazillion of those gold tapes and silver tapes. We use the gold tape to signify sharps, and the silver tapes to identify the naturals or flats. That will all make more sense in the coming time. All right, where's my bow? Okay. So we pluck C, G, D, A. I'm trying to remember the sayings that we used to have to remember the names of the strings. It's not coming to me. It'll come back to me. Okay, so the lowest note is the thickest string all the way to your right. It's not going to look like you're right because we're on camera here, unless I do the flip mode thing. And then when you put your bow on the string, you put it halfway between the bridge and the fingerboard. When you say fingerboard, the fingerboard is the black section, where only our fingers should touch. And our fingers should never touch here because the oils from our finger will actually get in the way of the sound of the strings, I think. Maybe damage them. So placement of the bow, let me know if that's correct. And if I remember correctly, you kind of turn your bow down. So here's the sound I get when I attempt my playing. I can do vibrato only on the last two notes. I do not know why. And is that the correct way to do vibrato? I'm keeping my elbow in one place and moving just my finger back and forth. I know this is not correct, right? So I've been trying to develop vibrato, but I heard you have to start very slow. But anyway, now, so let's try a little faster. Now, this feels like it got too low and that my arm was working too hard. Or it could be because I have a bad shoulder and I'm actually supposed to be wearing a sling right now. But I really wanted to give a little bit of a demo. But I encourage parents to please volunteer if you are well versed on any of the instruments. I know of 2 parents who have volunteered to help out during the past with sectionals and are wonderful players and also great at getting the students to understand what we're doing. So I like to do pizzicato sometimes when I get a little, and then we turn it into a bass. And I think I'm supposed to be plucking down here. All right, so you critique Ms. Luberger and you let her know how she's doing on cello. And then for my new students, if I went way too fast for you, we're working on bow grip with my tattered bow. I have another one. This is beginner grip. And you just want to try to hold the cello in between your knees. Oh, that camera angle. Sliding back, sliding back, sliding back, sliding back. Between your knees, I'm wearing dark pants, you can't see, and to the left of you. It looks like my right. And the fingerboard stays away. And most importantly, let's learn not to touch any of these pegs. These pegs will only be touched when I have to tune more than a half step or a whole step. Otherwise, I'm going to be teaching you how to tune with the fine tuners at the bottom, which are these circular things here. And those are something you don't want to touch for fun either way. So I'll teach you about that. But the biggest thing is don't turn these. They can get loose very fast. It takes a little while to adjust them back. Or if you turn them too tight, the string can pop off. And I've done that, and that's scary. And the strings do have to be replaced over time, depending on how much you practice. So I think I covered everything except for the peg, which my peg fell out when I was putting it. So we make sure we loosen, but don't let the peg fall out, and push it back in when we're done, and then tighten. So the beginning step was here. Take it out of the case and loosen. 2 turns. Take the peg out about this way, and we'll kind of adjust where the peg goes before you put it on in front of you. Stand in front of the cello, sit down, and let it fall onto you. Okay, I hope that helps a little bit, and we'll do more in person as soon as we can. Thank you for watching. Bye. I guess the violin I have to play next. Cover your ears. Bye. One thing I forgot to point out is that every note, every string is a fifth away from the other. So if your instrument's in tune, it should sound like Twinkle Twinkle. First 2 notes of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. And then from the next string. So I just played a C major scale in the other video, which was 2 octaves. And then we try to, my headset is kind of, yeah, G. sometimes your first finger is not going to fall in the right place, and you will hear this. Do you hear the difference between this and this? If your first finger is off, the entire scale will be off. So we really try to work on finger placement at the very beginning. The elbow should never slouch in when you're playing. You should kind of keep it extended out this way. What did I just do? Okay, so practicing for speed, you could do quarter notes. So I can tell the bow has to be tighter because probably because I'm rocking out a little too much here. The the hair of the bow is touching the wood, so we have to tighten this way, like you're trying to close. Oh, I forget how to explain it. Clockwise. If you're looking at a clock. Anyway, now it's not going to touch. What else can we do? Let's do more 16th notes, or how about 8th notes? And then I like to do double stops. Is that what these are called? Or slides? But that's just the fun part of playing an instrument. But then you have to start your practice and study. But it's a good way to just kind of release a little energy. But I enjoy the cello, and I hope I can teach it well to you, and I will be learning from you as well this year. Remember, always put the pipe back in and put it right back in the case. All right, thank you for watching. Take care. Okay, so I fixed the problem with me playing cello. I find it easier to play standing up. I still see my bow flying around down here, but why is that more comfortable? Maybe because when I'm sitting, I don't have it in the right position, but I felt like this was easier. So it's gonna fall, and spin it around like this. All right, that's what you do not do with your instrument. Do not do this with your instrument. Never, ever, ever.